Hello and welcome back to the next One Piece review and discussion. I am early for once this week because as soon as I read the chapter and saw all the spoilers that were coming out, this has got to be the biggest, maddest chapter of Egghead. And we've had some pretty big chapters. So whether this falls still into the Egghead arc or it's now like the aftermath of what's happened, because it is insane what we see. Like, I did not think Oda was going to go to this extent right away. It changes so much going forward that I was not expecting. And I just have to talk about it because it is so cool where we are at now, because it changes everything. So, without further ado, chapter 1125. What constitutes death? Continuing Yamato's cover story is her reaching Odin's castle, and she's seeing all the carpenters rebuilding what was destroyed. And the problem in the moment is that Minatomo, the little guy with nails in his nose, is missing. Okay, so they are probably going to go and find where Minatomo is in the next pilgrimage journey, I guess. But nevertheless, we need to get into this chapter because I can't wait any longer. We kick off where the Straw Hats have now left. Giants are with them. They celebrated with their feast because Lilith said that theoretically, in a different perspective, Vegapunk is alive and Luffy achieved his goal, what he had promised, the stellar body. Right now, we are back at Egghead, dealing with now the Marines and the Cypher Pole, who are now awake. The Conqueror Haki Blast that just annihilated almost everyone. We see people are rousing, there's a few still down, but nevertheless, there's a job to do. So the Seraphim are being loaded up as soon as they have charged. So that already, first thing, the Seraphim are not innately robust enough to go into a long form combat. They are the peak of the evolution of creating a cyborg. However, with that much energy, the consequences, they need to be charged. So going forward, that's good to know. But for the weaponized sea beasts and the pacifistas, the Mark IIIs that were on the island, we don't yet know, because as the Cypher Pole agents are talking about those objects, those creations, they notice Lucci and Kaku returning, and they board the vessel and they're like, wait, where is Stussy at? Like, is she around? And all Lucci says is killed in action. And Kaku's face is like kind of hidden in shadow, like no emotions being showed. Whether this is Lucci actually has dealt with her in some way, or the more likely option, she did escape, but maybe she had a confrontation with Luffy. But we know that Kaku was trying to let her escape because of the whole friend idea and stuff. So, is Stussy still on the island? Did she manage to get away? Did Lucci actually catch up to her and kill her? Because Lucci's quite a harsh man. I don't think Lucci would have let her go if he had the choice. But we'll see. Nevertheless, we aboard Saint J. Garcia's Saturn's ship, and he is in that like luxurious room that we saw him in earlier, and he's sat down now, and he is talking to the vice admirals who are present on the island. And he says, right, what we had set out to do, we have obtained everything. We have York, we have Punk Records, and the power station in hand. We have secured everything we need to access the Mother Flame, the eternal Mother Flame as he calls it. He said that result was more than adequate. However, there was one critical hiccup. And this is where we see the line of vice admirals, the 9 of them that are here. So from right to left, we have Guillotine, Red King, Tosa, Doberman, Bluegrass, Doll, I believe it's Urban, Pomsky, and Hound. Those were our vice admirals present during this large Buster Call fleet, and they are apologising. They say, look, we are sorry. We can't believe we have disgraced you and we failed to capture Jewelry Bonnie and allowed the Straw Hats to escape. You know, even our grand Buster fleet, the call that went out, we weren't enough. Us 9 and Vice Admirals couldn't get the job done. Please let us pursue them to Elbaf because they know that's where they're going. And Jay Garcia is like, whoa, forget Elbaf. That was not the failure. No, the failure to which he refers to is much more dire. You see, allowing Vegapunk, his message to go out, to even play, was an unexpected disaster. That was the problem. Not to mention that Iron Giant surfaced and aided those pirates to escape. It is ironic. And this is where we get a flashback to 200 years ago, where this, probably up in Marijois, is a destroyed settlement. The Iron Giant in the background is inert. Emmett is down, just currently off, but like much cleaner armor than we've seen him in. And we have a group of like researchers or scientists talking to Garcia, and they're like, Saint Saturn, we've been given orders, we have to scrap this robot. And Saturn says, no, I will take responsibility should this be uncovered. Do as I bid and study it. Hide it away and study, because this is the future. And we are going to make sure that it becomes ultimately the great asset of the military might that will be the world government. So, I mean, pretty level-headed from him to say, look, don't just like remove it, like as much as maybe Eve or another elder has ordered this to be completely destroyed. He is superseding it privately away from everyone else and say, look, there's tech here, there is research here, if we can study it, we understand it, we can replicate it, and then we'd be unstoppable if we had like an army of these, or even like 2 or 3 of them, you know. So these scientists are buzzing. Obviously, instead of scrapping it, they get to sit and research something. They are like, it is an excellent specimen and we are so excited, you know, it would be a shame to just get rid of it. And Saturn has this like stoic look as he's like remembering these thoughts, and he's like, it remained dormant for 200 years and yet it came alive, all to protect Straw Hat Luffy. Something is triggering it, and this is nuts, because Doberman, having the absolute balls of the group to go, Saint Saturn, as a humble and loyal soldier of the government, there is only one question on my mind. You know, you said that Vegapunk's message going out was our failure. Does that mean that there was some truth to his words? And in a moment, Doberman's head like explodes. like exactly the same as we'd seen before. Doberman, like blood shoots out from like his nose, his mouth. He gets like that big wave hits him, and he is down. This poor vice admiral just voiced one question to say, "Was this true?" And man just got absolutely sent flying. Guillotine is like, "Oh my god, Admiral Doberman, what's happening, my dude? We need to get some medics in here because obviously Saturn wouldn't be the one to attack him." They seem to just be like carrying on as normal, but as they try and rush a medic team in for this vice admiral, we go up to the labo phase, the labo stratum, where we see the traitor York inside the lab on her knees, just like recovering. She was so grateful that she's the last one left, and she'd done it. She was successful. All of a sudden, the lab starts to fill with sky clouds, and York is like, "Not good. Oh no." And they aren't stopping. They are like absorbing the whole lab up, like seeping through everything and continually rising. And she looks down, or we see a shot of it, and the cloud factory has gone like into overdrive. It is pumping out a ton of cloud. It is non-stop. I don't know how anyone else didn't notice this. Like, we're on this island, everything's been destroyed, but this one building in the middle here is just spewing clouds up to the lab. But York is like, "Edison has done it. This fool, he just couldn't roll over and die, could he? Like, the Fabrio stratum, like, why didn't he just die down there?" And she has like the laser like gauze gun she has, and we see as she goes to shoot towards Punk Records, a shot of Edison saying, "Bingo. Edison alive here?" Knowing that he could hear York's thought on, like, it was Edison's like doing, but we see a giant explosion through like the eggshell, like through Punk Records, where this huge like explosion happens, and she looks up and York is like, "I've been played. It's too late. He has taken Punk Records." And we see a shot of Egghead and the egg that is Punk Records separated and floating off into the sky away from the lab. York has not secured Punk Records. Neither had Saturn. Neither have the Marines. Punk Records is gone, floating away. And we'll come back to that, because here now we jump over to the Holy Land of Marija, yet the home of the Celestial Dragons, who are in an uproar. They are like, "This dimwit Vegapunk can't possibly be telling the truth. What's Akainu doing about this? He still hasn't done anything about Kuma's rampage before and letting him escape. The world's sinking. It's not going to affect us, so it doesn't matter." So what we see is the Celestial Dragons dealing with the repercussions of the revolutionaries destroying the food storages. So we see one is like, "I ordered beef and you've given me this." And the chef is like trembling, like, "There wasn't any beef, obviously, with the stock dwindling, like, this is all we had." And he just shoots the dude. Like, hello? Is that okay? We then see a lot more of them arguing with each other, like, the food issue has gone way too far. We missed a meal yesterday. I've not been allowed any snack. Oh, this is unacceptable. Like, treatment. We're being treated like street rats. So, who knows what they're going to do. But that is not the main concern in this moment. Oh, no. Because no matter what the Celestial Dragons are barking about, as children do, having this, negligent act, this responsible, who's to blame and all this, blah, 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 blah. We go to the room of authority. And striding in, resolute, Saint Figerland Garling. He walks in, and the other elders are like, Garling, what could you possibly be doing here right now? And he strides in, not in what holy armour we've seen him in before during that execution. Oh no, he is in a black suit. Very akin to the other elders, except he wears a very majestic white cloak or cape. Just to add a bit of flair. He too still has his sword though, which is fascinating. So what we see is him declare to the other elders, there are new orders that have been bestowed upon me. And Walker is like, wait, new orders from who? And Jupeace is like, what are you saying? And Marcus Mars is like, tread lightly, you forget yourself. And Nostrio's just like, huh? I like the 4 different reactions, but there is a empty chair, and Figerland Garland sits down in this chair and says, the Vegapunk known as York is henceforth under my purview, as I have just been named the new Science Defense Warrior God. And all the elders are like, what? Don't say. And he just cuts them out and he's like, the world is heading for turmoil. An unprecedented level of rebellion is imminent. Let us work together to better this world, my fellow elders. New title card. 5 Elder Planet. Saint Figerland Garling. Defense Science Warrior God. And Jupeace is like sweating and he's in shock. And that's the only other reaction we see because we come away. But hold up before we get into the next part. Garland has just been promoted from the holy commander of the Royal Knight Army, whatever it was called, up to a 5 Elder Planet. That is nuts. To go 1,000-ish plus chapters of knowing of the 5 Elders' existence. The fact that we know they are near immortal because they were 200 years old and knew about everything. We just saw a flashback with Saturn. And a new member just walks in. Like, that is nuts. Like, I can't even comprehend where we are going to be now. Because this dude just doesn't give a... doesn't care about what the other elders are saying. He is taking orders from one person and one person only. And he means business. And the fact that the other elders are questioning, like, why are you coming in? Who would have given you possibly such orders? Like, could they not have put it together when the, commander of the Holy Knights is, receiving orders? It only could be from Eam. But this just sets up the next part in a huge way. Because we return back to Egghead. And all there is this screaming aboard the ship that had all the Vice Admirals and St. J. Garcia. This, painful roar and scream. And the Vice Admirals are like, Saint Saturn, what is happening? And Saturn is on his knees, clutching at his throat, billowing that black flame, those clouds. He's engulfed in it. There is a circle on the ground around him, and the vice admirals are in a panic. Like, we need all the medics we can get in here now. Saint Saturn is down, and Dollar's like, what the hell is going on? And we see he is just like withering away. They're like, one of the world overseers, like, we can't let this happen to him. Like, is this a disease? Is this something we can stop? Like, Saturn, can you say anything? Like, what should we do here? And his skin starts to like dissolve and dry as the area around him becomes more engulfed in the black flame, as he begins to like splutter and scream, and he starts having thoughts. The telepathy we saw, he's like, no, it can't be. He's like, Eam, please. And we see just a shocked reaction from all of the vice admirals in the room, as there is a shot of Eam's eye saying, Saturn, Joy Boy was behind the escape and you allowed it to happen. And as not only in this internal dialogue, he's like, please have mercy. I couldn't anticipate the power. Like, I couldn't anticipate this happening, that it would foil us this way. It was out of my control. He's like begging, pleading, and he lets out the word Eam as he is beginning to disintegrate on the spot. And just as soon as it has engulfed him, a giant roar, and the ship explodes with just fire and haki. The vice admirals get sent flying back, just like scattering in the room, and lying on the ground is St. J. Garcia Saturn's skeleton in a dark chamber. In just shadow, it just clatters. I cannot believe we've just had one of the 5 elders removed by Eam. This just adds so much credit now to, right, these dudes, the only way they are here is because of Eam. And just like that, Eam shows their hand and has revealed just how capable and strong they are. I know, Zara. But in an incredible way, we have just witnessed poor St. J. Garcia Saturn, after everything, like, he's just been removed. And the thought I was having was, what does that mean in terms of Katarina Davon touching him? Because we had this whole idea, this whole setup, when Katarina Davon touched his leg and was like, right, job's done. You know, I can transform into one of the 5 elders now. We can leave, you know. Blackbeard's going to overtake the world, as they were saying. It doesn't matter anymore because St. J. Garcia doesn't exist. Like, what's that whole purpose? Is she going to walk in as St. J. Garcia Saturn and the others are going to go, well, how the hell are you alive? Eam burnt you to a crisp. Eam just removed your powers in an instant, and all that's been left is a skeleton. Like, what? What constitutes death is St. J. Garcia has lived all this time because of Eam, decides to make one decision to research a robot that comes back to bite him in the ass, and he gets his life ripped away from him just like that. And we also need to talk about, does Figerland Garling now get a power in this way? A yokai form? Does he get Saturn's? Does he even need a yokai form? Is this dude just that strong to be promoted to a 5 elder planet that he can just be like, I have served you all this time, I will continue to serve you, but I don't need your gifts. Me and my blade are strong enough. Like, hello? We are now going to have to change everything because we have a new group of 5 elders. Nuts. Who's going to become the new commander of the Holy Knights? Unreal. Oh, it'll probably be what we assume is Shanks' brother or twin. We don't know. Theorized. But the other person in the panel who was cloaked in shadow, they will step up as the commander of the Holy Watch. And Garland was shown because he's going to be a 5 Elder member. Nuts. But speaking about obviously the title of what constitutes death, we go to Punk Records that is billowing on these clouds, flying up into the sky, and we have Shaka, Atlas, Pythagoras, and Edison talking to each other inside Punk Records. So the top of the egg has floated away, and we've got all of them being like, "Oh, looks like we were successful. We were able to do it." And Atlas is like, "Oh, but York got away. Like that was the one problem." And Pythagoras goes, the signal reaches across the globe, so she'll still be able to connect to Punk Records, but Edison's like, that's better than just handing it to her physically on like a silver platter. At least we've removed that. So York still has access to here, but they can't stop that. But what they could stop was her getting the physical, like Punk Records itself. And, until the day that all of humanity can access this brain, they say, they've got to protect it. So Shaka says it'll probably be at least 500 years to assume that these, that'll happen. And are they on what's called a roaming cloud? And I think it's Edison, it's like, yeah, you got it, but the world currently thinks Vegapunk is 6 feet under, is dead. So we have to be very, very secret and safe right now. And Pythagoras is like, yeah, we don't have any money either. We got no funds. We're not affiliated to anyone anymore. Like, we're very limited on resources. We just have to leave it to you. And what we see is Edison piecing himself together with the combined part of each of them. So Edison's head, we've got Shaka's long body, one of Atlas's arms, and one of Pythagoras' arms, all attached. And he's like, how do we look? I think we look fantastic. And Atlas is like, we look bonkers, but I love it, And Shaka's like, I see my lovely proportions you admire. Yes, of course. And they are having this internal dialogue. So there is only one body present, which is like a newer looking Edison. But each of the members are here having a conversation. And as we are walking through Punk Records, which houses all like spare parts for all of the satellites, they're like, oh, where's York stuff? Yeah, we just need to trash that, throw it out. They're just creepy. Let's get rid of them. And they radio Wetheria saying, come in, this is Vegapunk. And we see this like, whoa, Vegapunk? I thought you had died. So we know where Vegapunk's heading, or at least this new satellite. The question remains, are they off the radar to say? Because did Lilith connect knowing that these are alive, and that's why she was like, hey, look, you're fine, we're all okay? Or did she try and connect us like, right, Punk Records works, and now I know York is connected to it because York's going to know that Lilith is still alive, surely, unless they've all gone into like stealth mode, other than York, who just thinks she's the last one left. But there's so many questions we don't know, because ideally it's York is connected and the new combined satellite here and Lilith are on that like super secret connection that like hides the presence, radar silent. So York doesn't know. But at the same time, Lilith either knows or doesn't know about this new satellite's creation, a seventh satellite of the combined personas of the other members who had died. We saw them die, and somehow this new combined Vegapunk is still alive and walking, which also means his brain is still working, which might be another fail-safe that Vegapunk put in. There's so many questions about this part that like are just so open-ended. We're not going to get the answers here. It will be when Vegapunk returns. But at least Lilith might answer some questions and be like, no, the other satellites have stolen Punk records and they're going to be fine. They're going to have to lay low for a while, so I'll chill on Egghead and try and catch up with them all. But who knows? But we are like, what we've talked about so far in this chapter already constitutes a mad one, but we're still not done, because we jump to the Kamabaka Kingdom, where Koala is like writing down and basically verbalizing everything we've just learned. So all of the revolutionaries are like discussing with her, like what are we going to do? You know, I can't swim, like devil fruits and all, like what's happening? And Koala's like, right, here's the details that we know. The Void Sentry was a cover-up for a massive war, and that culminated in ancient weapon tech plunging the world 200 meters deep into the ocean. Not only that, but whoever claims the One Piece will not only be crowned Pirate King, but will likely get to wield devastating powers for themselves. And Bella Betty's like, yeah, no, can't let that happen. The world will sink. We know this is going to happen. And Sabo is like, that just explains in the first place why these celestial dragons moved and live above the red line. And then Ivankov like has the brainwave going. Tequila Wolf, Vodka Wolf, Rum, Bourbon Wolf. They have been spending the past 700 years forcing slaves to build these giant structures of like bridges, which are probably safe enough level above water, that 5 meter rise, to be safe. They knew it was coming, and they're all kind of like, right, everything is, you know, falling into place now, and it is dragging to go. Vegapunk, among those who you have warned, many will now be out for their self-interest, not peace. We must hurry to achieve our victory for our cause before the people of this world kill each other to secure habitable lands. Did they get the word out then? Chapter ends. No break next week. We are definitely going to go get more reactions around the world now. But what a completely nuts chapter. Like, I cannot believe that we just saw Jay Garcia, a monumental figure within the Five Elders, first appearance like outside the authority room, and he failed, and just like that, Eam discarded him. They don't have devil fruits. They are imbued with the powers of the yokai that they had from Eam. Eam is the immortal one, the eternal, who has gifted these people the power to survive and worship and serve their orders. But I don't think it's going to work. Eam has had enough, and I think things are going to take a very drastic shift in the world. An era of chaos dawns, as the chapter says. But wow, phenomenal chapter. So unexpected. I did not think we were going to go like this far left immediately, like straight after the Straw Hat to like, yeah, we did a, you know, celebratory feast as they travel to Elbaf. and then we just hard cut to TJ Garcia's done. He's dead, discarded. Figurland is now the new 5 Elder member. Nuts. Anyway, let me know what you thought of this chapter and what is going to come up. I will see you guys next time. Bye.